Listen up.
Welcome to the PowerShell Podcast, the podcast for PowerShell and the PowerShell community. And now, here's your host, Andrew Plaw.
Whoa, I feel powerful with this. Welcome to another episode of the PowerShell Podcast. It's me, your host, Andrew Plaw, back again. Another Monday. We're here. And where's here? Well, I am actually at PDQ Headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah. Come on here a couple times a year, and we're back. And you know what? We got buddies. Returning guest, friend of the pod, friend in real life too, to be honest. But Brock Bingham, welcome. We call you Brockstar, but welcome to the pod, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
You know how I'm doing. You know, we just popped open some caffeine. You know how we're doing. It's early in the morning over here.
Yeah, we literally did. The cans were cracking open here just like 2 seconds ago.
I was walking. I had to go upstairs to our 7-Eleven, and I had 4 drinks. I had a Liquid Death, a yerba mate, a coffee for me, and a White Monster for you. And my hands were freezing, but I did it.
You did it anyways. True.
Put in that work. You know what we did yesterday? Do you know what we did yesterday?
I don't remember.
It was a PowerShell Wednesday.
We did do PowerShell Wednesday.
In the flesh. You know, we're here. We're busy. We got meetings all day, all kinds of fun stuff. Some less fun, but more serious. You know, that's important too. But we still put on PowerShell Wednesday. Were there technical issues along the way? Yes. Did we roll with it?
No, there were no technical issues for anybody listening to this. It was just super smooth sailing. Tune in to PowerShell Wednesday. Okay. We never have any issues. Like mics always work. Screen recording always happens. So,
hey, you know, we make it happen. And shout out to everybody who spoke. But it was funny, man. We were sharing one earbud, you know, like high school sweethearts. I had one, you had one. We were right
it
next
was
to
pretty
each
cute.
other.
Yeah.
I was so hungry. My stomach kept growling and they couldn't hear it, but like you could for sure hear it. And we just keep like, Andrew's starving. But it was fun. For you, what was your biggest takeaway from PowerShell Wednesday? So if I can remember correctly, just a brief rundown of the topics we did. We had using Laps without typing in a password, like scanning a QR code to enter the password.
That was cool.
That was wild. I'd have to readdress that. It's on GitHub.
That's one of those moments when you're like, gosh, man, I need to be more creative in what I do with PowerShell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the sky is the limit, right? And that was just such a great example. It's like, you know, hey, what do I have sitting around here? Oh, I've got a barcode scanner. What can I do with that? You know, and I would never have in a million years have thought, oh, hey, let me integrate this with Laps. You know, I'm tired of typing passwords. Let me just scan it. I don't know how our SOC analyst feels about QR codes and Lap passwords, but you know, teach their own.
Yeah, that was a good one. David Richmond is very smart. He's done a lot of great sessions. He actually lives near me, so he's spoken at the Gainesville PowerShell user group before. So,
and that's a good user group you got going.
It's a fun
there.
one. It's a fun one. I enjoy it. I like the in-person stuff, but for me, honestly, this year, so much of my efforts have gone to PowerShell Wednesday and seeing it grow in the way it has, because it just has that bigger reach. And I really like being able to have friends in Europe who can come by and friends in the States and Japan and things like that.
Yeah.
So I've been having fun with that. But we also had, which I love this title, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was like, become a pro tester with Pester. And then I added like Chuck Testa, which I just thought was too good to not include that. It was a editorial decision that I didn't run by, not Gary, also known as Greg Martin. He's been on the podcast. He actually wrote a video game in PowerShell, but he introduced us to Pester a little bit, which is the testing framework for PowerShell. I believe it's like the first module to ever ship with PowerShell back in the day.
Yeah.
Which led to some issues because they wanted to update it, but it's in the box, it's installed in a certain spot, and you want to update it somewhere else. But it's been widely adopted. And if you're using PowerShell at the enterprise level and you're writing solutions for your company that you want to be able to rely on, you have to have a testing framework. So it was cool that he introduced that to people because it can seem very daunting at first. So what is your experience with Pester? I think a lot of people can get tons of value out of PowerShell without ever using it, but curious to hear.
So, I mean, it depends on where you're at with your PowerShell journey, right? If you are, you know, starting off running commands, you don't need to worry about it. If you're starting off like writing scripts, doing like simple automations for yourself, you probably don't have to worry about it. But like you said, once you start to develop into this like enterprise level, hey, people are relying on this functionality, the company is relying on this functionality. Okay, I've really got to get serious with my script testing here. Make sure that everything's working the way it should be.
Yeah, because when you get to the point where you're writing a lot of PowerShell, you're not just writing the same script over and maintaining just one. You need to finish these projects and move on. And when you move on, guess what? You might have to come back. So we always talk about docs, super important. Blogging about what you learned, super
That's also
important.
something that we got blown away with yesterday. Was one of the presenters' documentation on their GitHub. Their README.
That was glorious.
That was pretty.
It was. And I think it's a great use case for like, have AI help you a little bit with the outline and then fill it in nicely.
That's smart.
I don't know if he did that, But it seemed like either that or he has like a experience in writing in some way, because it was just very well formatted.
Or he's just an overachiever.
I think that might be it too. But yeah, back to the pester thing. It's very important because you need to be able to write documentations. You can come back to your projects. And also, if you have the tests, you can verify that it's doing what it should do.
Mm-hmm.
If it's supposed to do X, Y, and Z, you write the tests, and any single time you change code to it, you can automatically run those tests whenever you commit your code. A lot of different, you could run them locally or with GitHub Actions and things like that. Then you have some peace of mind.
Oh, that's huge.
Huge, huge, huge. And then you can also say, yeah, test-driven development, that's kind of like my thing. And you sound like an expert. It's a win-win. But it can be a little bit daunting at first because it's what's considered a domain-specific language, DSL. I don't know what the S is for. But basically, it doesn't just use commands you're used to. Yeah. It uses, it creates functions for things like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and describe and things like that. So it just changes the way that you use syntax, I guess, just a little bit. But once you learn those introductory concepts, you can only know, like, I'd say beginner level pester to do a bunch of stuff. And then as you run into things, you can take it to the next level. But someone who I mentor, shout out Raphael, customer as well. I met him at a conference. I've actually been working with him, and a project I have been working on now is creating a pester test to check all new computers. You need X, Y, and Z. You want this set up. You want these printers. Put those into a test. You have a document that has it with a little checklist that you check off manually. Work on getting those into a test, deploy those to your computers, and then be confident in knowing that the new person you just hired on actually imaged it right.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, you have an easy way to kind of educate them and point to them and empower them to check their own work.
That's another interesting use case for PowerShell.
Infrastructure testing as well. Like, there's just so much you can do. Anything you can test. Yeah, we are in the midst of a busy week here. We have all of our company flew out. So hundreds of PDQs, as we're affectionately known, are here. It's been a pretty wild
PDQ week is crazy. I've seen a lot of this guy.
A lot. He keeps saying too much, but we're trying to push the limits. But I want to give a shout out to J5156, I believe is his username on Discord, because that was his first time presenting. And he shared like a little bit of a script where he had some stuff with printers. And I was like, dude, you should totally share that. Well, then he shares it. And it's like the greatest thing ever. He had that. He had like a Wi-Fi analyzer as well. With
You're like,
WPF
why are you keeping
form.
this to yourself?
No, I know exactly. There's so much that people have to offer. It's so cool when they take that step to share it. And not only when they share it and like, oh, they were able to successfully share it. It's like, no, that actually helps people.
Yeah.
Like, many people are checking out that repository, seeing what they can borrow. And the way he documented, like, hey, if you're going to use this, you need to look at these lines. This is the section where it's going to do the bulk of the work that you can, be aware of. It just really breaks it down for you, because reading scripts can be daunting as a beginner.
Oh, yeah. And I love how he introduces like, hey, like, this should just work with just by putting your print server address in here, right? Throw in the FQDN and just run it, and it should just work. Is it going to run 100% of the time for everybody? Probably not, but the vast majority of people, for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then we had Morton using curl to PS, which is a project by the Posh Wolf that converts curl commands into PowerShell. So like, you can give it a huge long curl command that you get. A lot of documentation has curl built in. It's kind of accepted. But the curl to PS project was recently revamped, and Morton has been using it. Apparently, he even made some improvements to the code so it could do it. Batch requests with MS Graph. It's been cool to see some people. Someone who I'm mentoring is going through her graph journey right now, getting it implemented, getting access, and using that as the launching pad for doing automation, right? Yeah. There's some things she has to do with like calendar events and things like that. You can do pretty much anything in 365 and Azure if you're in Graph. So such a powerful, cool module there. We might have to do some fun content around it this year.
Yeah, we definitely do, because it's too powerful to ignore at this point. It was kind of like PowerShell several years ago where you're like, okay, well, PowerShell is too powerful to ignore. Like, I need to learn it. I need to adopt it into my workflow. Kind of the same thing with Graph at this point.
Yep. And can we just talk about some pretty things? Because I've been geeking out on pretty things lately.
You have been.
Oh my gosh. So WinUI Shell, I made a video about it recently. It's an MDGRS project. Check out the video if you haven't seen it yet. But I love where things are now with how graphical they look.
Yeah.
I've been geeking out on video games written in PowerShell. There's somebody who I was introduced to who lives in Korea, who is a student currently, and they wrote a horror game in PowerShell with ray tracing and all this other wild stuff. So wild. And then we got Greg Martin, who wrote the Eldoria game, like the classic kind of old school looking game.
Shout out, not Gary.
Not Gary. And I've read that username so many times. It's really stuck in my head. I know what your name isn't. Greg F. Martin.
That's funny. Yeah, I cannot like not think of that name because my dad's name is Gary.
So and Gary the Snail from SpongeBob, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Gary's a legend around here. Yeah, that was cool. PowerShell Run's another one that I'm going to be diving into pretty heavily. It's another MDGRS project.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar? Can I enlighten you just a little
Pitch
bit?
It to me.
You got to run stuff on your machine, right? You got a bunch of programs. If you're used to pressing, my big workflow on Windows was always pressing the Windows key, typing in what I wanted to do and press enter. Windows R. Yeah. I think in Windows 10 and 7, just pressing Win key was working really well for me. And then I moved to Mac. So I use Alt spacebar to bring up my Spotlight to launch things. But you can actually do it inside PowerShell with this really snazzy tool called PowerShell Run. And it's your way to run things. So you press a key combo. For me, I think it's Control W or something like that. And then it pops up PowerShell Run. And you can type in anything. It's a fuzzy finder. So say you type in Chrome, but you fat finger it, CROME. Google Chrome will pop up. You can press enter. That's one spot of it. But he added the functionality where you can add script blocks to do things. You can add folders for your functions. So we all have functions maybe in our profile or whatever, and you may not remember all of them as time goes on. Well, you can organize your different workflow things. So say you have something to interact with the Blue Sky API, and you have all these things that you want to do. You want to query things, whatever the case may be. You can have those in a folder in PowerShell Run. There's just so much you can do with it. MDGRS is just honestly a legend.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do what I can to highlight these projects. They're going to add so much value to people's lives, but you don't have to actually do much other than implement it. So much
and
fun.
I feel like that needs to be, I feel like what you're doing is huge because there is so much cool stuff out there. Like you said yesterday with the presenters showing off their, print service module and the Wi-Fi analyzer and stuff like that. It's like, these were just little unknown things and you just want to boost those in the stratosphere because you're like, I don't know. It's hard. It's like, I want to find a good way to be able to just like highlight those things, spotlight them, show them off to like the community to make sure they get the recognition they deserve because they're awesome.
For sure. Yeah. I'm trying to do what I can to shine lights on it, make it approachable. Like this year, I do a lot of like polished content where it's like a video where there'll be some editing, but I want to get more into just like, hey, I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half. I'm going to try and write this thing. You're going to see me stumble along the way. And, doing that maybe with somebody who's pair programming with me, who's actually an expert to make sure it's a very productive session. But I think that there needs to be a little bit more of that, like raw, like, hey, I've been doing PowerShell for a long time. Here's how I approach it. Maybe sharing some other people's approaches as well. Because you can learn so much from seeing the workflows.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people who I've discovered recently are still using the ISE, which makes sense because there's a barrier there. You're going to run into issues and you're trying to do your job. So if you don't have the support around it, if you don't know what to look for and something works for you, I mean, if it's working, it's working. I can't argue with that.
With ISE, I think the majority of people that are still using it is going to be those people that are just like, hey, PowerShell is something like I have to use when I need to use it. And that's kind of it. And a lot of those people are just really busy people. They have a lot of stuff going on. So it's not like, hey, I don't have the time to go and put a lot of effort into customizing VS Code, installing PowerShell on there and whatnot. And it's like, hey, I know I can just hop in here, get my job done, and move on to the next task. And like, shout out to those guys, heroes of mine. I mean, it does. You've really got to set out the time to move past it. And when you're like, when that's what you're strapped for is time, it's hard.
It is for sure. But if you find a community of people you can ask for, like in the PowerShell scripting channel or in the PowerShell, wherever you got to get in, wherever you can find your people, but you have to be talking to others. I've seen it so much where people will ask their first question. They'll be kind of tentative and maybe worried about how they're going to be perceived. And then they get answered and they get helped and they're able to solve their problem and they're able to actually feel confident in tackling on some of those issues because they know if they're going to run into issues, there's a community of people who've already ran into them. Sometimes multiple times if you're me. And then you remind yourself, oh yeah, I've already been through this, and check out a talk here and there. But man, I really enjoy trying to be connected with those who have so much to gain from it.
Yeah.
Like for a long time, I've catered to people who have already made it with PowerShell and which is fine. I have made it with PowerShell too. And I enjoy that kind
Hanging
of
out with Snover too much.
Just a little here and there. The good old Snowster. But when you can make a lot more impact if you can show people how much power PowerShell has, what it can do for them without needing to be that expert level, with using projects that already exist, reading blogs like yours where they go through and break these things down. You just kind of need to follow along a little bit, dive in on your own, and don't be afraid of red text. I've been seeing it a lot lately. People are like, oh, I hate getting errors. That's how so many people learn. That's how the brain learns from mistakes, from doing it the wrong way and then getting it the right way. So if you're getting red text in PowerShell, you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And the wrong things, but the right things fundamentally. You're directionally correct and you'll figure it out. I think it's really important to share what you learn along the way.
Yeah.
Like someone recently mentioned they learned about help about _ pipelines or help about _ whatever. And that's a great tidbit to share. If you're learning something new on your journey, there are other people who are beginners too right now. Just because PowerShell's been out a long time and I've talked about it for a long time and all this kind of thing, people still need that content. They need to hear your journey wherever you are. It is not helpful if everybody who's creating content is the top genius in sharing what they've learned. That isn't going to be relatable for a lot of folks out there who are trying to take ownership of their careers. So definitely get involved in a community if you are not.
Yeah, your recent podcast with Joshua, what's his last name? Deering. Awesome. I mean, I felt like every step of the way through that podcast, I'm like, dude, that's the journey I'm on. Like you and me are the same person here. And but to like come out and like put that public and stuff is so like refreshing to hear, you know? And like you're saying, like, hey, it's okay to mess up. It is okay to mess. I mean, like, again, our PowerShell Wednesday went off without a hitch yesterday.
Of course. Yeah. No issue.
But no, like we ran into a ton of problems. And you know what? Everybody was cool with it. You know, we made it work. You know, even some of the people weren't even able to present. So we're just like scrolling through their documentation. Yeah. And so it's like, you know, people make mistakes and it's okay. Just like own up to it. Something that I've been like really, really like focusing on lately is just like the sysadmin community is so good because, you know, I play video games. I'm like in like Rocket League communities and stuff like that. So bad. Yeah. they are not good for your health, but like, that is the complete opposite of like, if you go to like our sysadmin, you go to the PDQ Discord, you know, so many helpful people in there that will just like set apart a time in their day to help you out. And they, you know, they don't criticize you for it. They usually will compliment, hey, thanks for asking the question. You know, here's how we can help you out.
Yep. In the PowerShell scripting channel, I've seen it so many times. Somebody will ask a question, multiple people will answer it correctly, but from slightly different perspectives, which is so helpful. Trust me, if you ask a question, I'm dying to share my knowledge. I'm sitting on it. Yeah. I'm ready. You just got to give me the chance. And there's so many others who are in that same boat where, or like you've written a blog about it. Someone was asking about PS remoting recently, and I think they needed to configure things. Was that the message? You just sent them a blog and boom, their problem is solved. They might have been, working on 6 tickets at the same time. Their boss doesn't give them a lot of time to work on this kind of thing. Now, all of a sudden, they're able to feel more confident about doing it. So,
you know, I had a powerful lesson the other day when we were, I don't remember what meeting we were in. I want to say it was Jessica, our VP, that shared this, but she was like, we're in a meeting and one of the founders was in the meeting and, you know, they're talking about business stuff and financials and things like that. And, you know, when you're presenting in that kind of like format, there's just tons of these acronyms, business acronyms, you know, talking about money and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And the founder's sitting there, slide comes up, acronym on the screen. And he's like, what does that mean? What does that acronym mean? And here you are, like the founder, you know, this guy's like made it. And yet he's still asking like the simple questions that probably someone like straight out of college probably knew what that acronym was, you know, but here he is, he's like, no sweat off his back. He's like, yeah, let me ask the question.
That's how you earn trust. And it's also a kind of a sneaky way you can be a leader. Like obviously, you know, founder kind of high up there, but anyone, if you have any kind of position and you actually ask the questions that you have, I can guarantee you there are other people out there who have the exact same one, but they're too shy, whatever it is. Not only IT people have these problems. Yeah. Every aspect of life, you'll see this same kind of human thing going on. When you can lead the path and sort of show people, hey, it's totally fine to ask questions. Not everyone knows anything. One, they're going to trust you because there's a lot of people out there who are going to always act like they know every answer. And then, you know, that works for maybe a little bit when you can convince them, oh, I got it all going on. Quickly, people will see through that, though, especially the people who you want to be working with and interacting with.
Shout out to Dustin. I can't think of your last
name.
Gratchinson on Discord. Man, that guy has got some questions, and I love it. You know, I hope he doesn't feel like, oh, I'm like annoying these people as I ask like a bunch of questions and stuff that are especially like beginner questions. Absolutely not. Keep asking, because I guarantee you there's other people in the Discord, maybe they're on the PowerShell Wednesdays when you're on, that are asking the same questions and are just don't want to ask it, and you've got the guts to just put the question out there. Thank you. Keep asking them, because they're awesome.
Yep. Like I was telling Josh, it's the same thing. It's like you are showing other people how they can live their story. You are showing other people that it's totally fine to have questions. It's totally fine to be a beginner.
Yeah.
You're not a burden in any way, shape, or form. You're actually helping lift us all up. And I'm learning a lot about what type of content we need to be creating for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what issues are you running into? Oh, configuring VS Code. Boom. We'll get a PowerShell Wednesday for that and try and work that into some other messaging. You're struggling with how to use get member in the pipeline. Well, we've done PowerShell Wednesdays on that. Shout out to Lucas Allman, crushing it. He did an RTP SUG as well. Meteoric rise with that Lucas Allman fella. But man, it's just so cool that we get to geek out on the nerdy stuff, right? Look at really cool projects that it just scratches an itch for me technically, because it feels so powerful to like write some code that does something.
I mean, a PowerShell game with ray tracing? Are you kidding me?
Dude, I mean, I wish it wasn't so over my head. Like some of these things, I'm like, I like that in concept, but gosh, to me, that feels unattainable. But I know it's actually not. It's just one step at a time. Like, what pieces do I have to put together? Just for me, I'm not actually that interested in doing it myself, so I'm not going to dive in. But I appreciate everyone who has, and it's so cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will, though. I keep talking about it. That's how they work. It starts as an idea, and then it just kind of worms its way in, and then you write a game.
Well, I love the people that do, because then it just opens the boundaries. Again, it was kind of like the whole barcode thing that they were showing off in PowerShell Wednesday. I was like, just kind of like, why did I never think of that? Like, why did I not think that was like possible? That is so cool. Same thing with like the games. You're like, oh my gosh, like what can't PowerShell do?
I mean, these days, not much.
Yeah.
What do you think about WinUI Shell? I mean, that thing looks so snazzy. To me, it's just insane. If you look at GUIs of PowerShell in the past.
Oh yeah. No, they're rough.
They're rough.
Yeah. They're Windows XP days, but yeah, WinUI 3, I mean, with that video you showed off, really cool stuff.
It's just too easy. It's just like 20 lines of code. You don't have to write much at all. You have like maybe a line or two of actual PowerShell that you've written, and you can get like this snazzy GUI that makes you look like a pro.
And we've definitely got some ideas for that.
Oh yeah.
Can't talk about them yet, but
we got some stuff. And I think there's also a project from Morton that we're going to be looking into a little bit more, actionable messages, which is just a little teaser. All right. I'll tease you a little bit. It is a way that you can send like forms through Microsoft. And when people fill out the form, it sends a REST API call to an endpoint that you define. What could be done with that? Anything, because you can call PowerShell and an Azure function or whatever you got going on and initiate things. And I don't know what we're going to do with it. Actually, I do, but I'm not going to tell you. But we got some fun stuff cooked up.
We do.
I think that a lot of the benefits some people get out of the pod is discovering those new modules. Because browsing GitHub, I saw a tweet the other day of like how useless the GitHub homepage is. It's like, I don't care who starred X, Y, or Z project or they did it. Show me what's actually going to be relevant, and there's not really a great way to do it.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like you have to be connected with some communities who can point to you things that already exist.
Maybe we should do something. Maybe we should do something in Discord or something. Find some way to highlight cool PowerShell projects.
Yeah, there should be. There's some space there. Oh my gosh, we're collaborating right now. Oh my gosh,
work with people. This is what happens when you collaborate with people.
Talk to some other humans. You never know what's going to come out of it. But Brock, what's up with remoting in PowerShell? You've been kind of geeking out on that a little bit lately.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, so I've got some projects that I want to lean into. Again, I don't want to like spoil anything. And honestly, I don't even know if it'll happen at this point. I really hope it does. And I'm pushing it pretty hard. But we'll save that for the future. But yeah, I mean, it's again, one of those things. It's like, hey, as people start their like PowerShell journey, it's like, we always start in the same place. We start on our computer, in our terminal, and we're just running a simple command. Maybe it's even not a command. Maybe it's just an executable. Maybe we're running ping or ipconfig or something like that, right?
A long time, yeah.
Yeah, and hey, you're in the PowerShell terminal. You got step one out of the way. So, but yeah, it's like as you progress, you start running like get process, start messing with the data, seeing the objects come back, and like manipulating that. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well now I need to expand my reach further. And that's where it's like PowerShell remoting starts coming in really handy, right? Oh, yeah. And there's several ways to do that. And they're really easy. Like PowerShell makes it so easy. I mean, you do have to get over that first hurdle, making sure your WinRM is set up, make sure you can actually communicate with those devices and stuff. But once that's out of the way, you're running Enter PS Session, and it's like you're right there on a remote computer, just returning all this valuable data, whatever you want, really.
Anything. Yeah.
And you just saved yourself a ton of steps. Maybe that computer's like on an offsite somewhere and you didn't have to walk or drive to it or whatever. So,
yep. It's straight up being a force multiplier. You have PowerShell, you do it on your machine, it works. Maybe you have some way of delivering it. Well, now guess what? You can touch any endpoint in your environment and query it, do whatever you need to do, run your stuff.
It's honestly, it's what I really love doing is like highlighting, because like AI is great. You can go to AI, you can be like, hey, this is what I want to do with PowerShell. Okay, return me a script and I can just do it, right? And most of the time it's pretty accurate. Sometimes not so much, but most of the time, especially like easy stuff, it's going to crush it and just give you what you want to know. I like kind of like dissecting it because I feel like I'm pretty good at like, I get those questions in my head. I'm like, well, why does this work the way it does?
Oh yeah.
And what are the differences? Yeah. What are the differences here? Like, why would I want to run this versus running this? I really love highlighting that stuff as I've been like blogging now for like several years and stuff. Not always on PowerShell, but I love the PowerShell stuff I get to touch. And so like breaking that down piece by piece, trying to help other people like really understand the ins and outs of like what you want to use, when you want to use it, whether that's invoke command, start PS session, enter PS session, whether you're working with variables, the using modifier to like pass those variables to remote commands and stuff like that. So cool.
So powerful. Yep. And it's always important. We talked about a lot of projects here, and some of them, maybe Pester, maybe the GUIs thing, sounds a little bit over your head. Totally fine. Find your next step that works for you with where you are. That could be going from all these AI generated code that you've used to maybe start trying to kind of break it down and write some yourself. Maybe that could be your next step. Maybe try and read some more Get Help. Maybe learn how Get Member works. Maybe pipe your own commands together. Maybe attend to PowerShell Wednesday. You're listening to the pod, so your head's in the right spot. In my opinion, if you're listening to a PowerShell podcast, you've seen that there's some value in PowerShell that's worth pursuing. Figure out what that looks like for you. And if you get stuck, ask people. Find someone. My DMs are always open. I'm on the PowerShell scripting, discord.gg/PDQ. Hit us up there. There's so many others who are the same, though. I'm not like the only friendly person who's welcoming and opening to people. Like there's a lot of that in our community, which is why I do the pod. It's because the community is so great. And I just can't say enough how important it is to have a place where you can grow with others.
Yeah. And I want to emphasize, like, it is the PDQ Discord server, but it is really the sysadmin Discord server, because that's what it is, right? We do have a couple dedicated channels where it's like, hey, if you're having issues with the product or something like that, or you're looking for cool tips, exactly. We do have a couple channels that are like dedicated to that stuff, which is great. But a lot of like the action happens in, you might be like off topic stuff like, hey, what are sysadmins talking about when they're not talking about their day job? You might be talking about PowerShell scripts and stuff like that. It's like, those things are like super popular. They're popping off. There's tons and tons of chatter in there all day long. So, you don't have to be a PDQ customer to be in these things. PDQ they're awesome. They give us the freedom to kind of like do these passion projects and just run with it, Yep.
If it's helping people, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
I tell people, if you want to join the Discord, you're not a customer, just mute the products channel. We have it grouped. Right click, mute channel. No worries. No notifications. You won't get bugged whenever there's somebody who shares a cool pro tip of a product you don't have. No worries whatsoever. And I think that, it's just, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it weren't for PDQ allowing me to and just giving me the runway to just help people.
Yeah.
And then, it just such a fun little vibe we got going on. But hey, if it's not for you, there are other communities out there as well. You don't like PowerShell Wednesdays, you don't like the way I phrase things, or maybe you don't connect with me on that kind of level and there's someone else you do, dig in. It's not the only thing in town. There's a lot of fantastic communities out there. And it's kind of like, I don't say PowerShell is the answer for everything. Maybe your environment's heavily using something else. I'm not going to tell you to change everything. Find what works for you. We are all different. We have all different things that can be our best fit. So, but you have to have something. You can't, I see so many people who are just suffering in silence effectively.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself out there just a little bit, cast like a little butterfly net, and maybe cast a little bigger net. And then, you can catch a lot of cool stuff the bigger the net you cast. But if you're just keeping it all to yourself, you're not going to make that progress, which is why we've seen Dustin in 2 months grow so much in PowerShell.
Yeah.
Because he's asking questions. It doesn't feel comfortable at first, for sure, but he's asking them, he's getting answers, and he's making some progress. So love seeing anyone out there who's on their journey. If you're a beginner, triple shout out to you. If you've been in PowerShell for a long time, I hope you're doing what you can to lift up others. We all have to find our own way of doing that. Maybe it's answering questions. Maybe it's being a positive advocate internally, hosting an internal user group. Whatever it is, we got to do our part. And you'll be better for it. Not only will your coworkers, but you will as well. You'll solidify your knowledge. You'll feel like you add value and have a great sense of belonging, which is, as humans, kind of like really important, believe it or not. But
100%. You want to feel better. Like if you're down, go help somebody else. I mean, and that's not just a sysadmin thing. That's just a life thing. You know, when you are like, if you're struggling with like depression, things like that, anxieties, like get out of your own way and go help somebody else. And you will feel so much better about yourself for doing that. You know, I've been on this kick of like just trying to, I don't know, like find ways to like help support others, you know, and it's really just kind of like building me up as a person because I am not a confident person whatsoever. So all those like, you know, sysadmins out there that are like struggling with confidence and imposter syndrome and stuff like that, dude, get out of your own way and go help somebody else, you know? And again, you know, comes back to nobody's perfect. You're going to mess up. We're going to mess up and just move past it. Be okay with it. Accept those like faults and challenges that you have, but get out of your own way and go help somebody else. And you will feel so much better for it.
Yep. Can be a challenging thing, but you know, it's this journey we're all on. And it's so cool to see, you know, you and I, we've been working together for several years. We've both grown so much, not only as like PowerShellers, but like as people alongside it. And the avenue for that was trying to do more stuff to help others. It was a great opportunity for us to face some uncomfortable things, you know, being on camera, listening to your own voice, not the easiest thing out there.
I mean, you look at like the stuff that we push here at work. And again, shout out to PDQ. You know, I don't want to use this like a marketing platform or anything, but like honestly, like we spend so much time at work pushing projects that are literally just to help other people. You know, and I'm sure our bosses like want us to be like pushing the product, like, hey, how can you help this product sell and stuff? And you know, we do that too. But like some of our biggest projects are always like, hey, what can we do to help other people?
Yeah, I had a convo before I kind of accepted more of the public role here at PDQ, where I want to make sure we're all aligned. And, you know, at the highest level of our company, they are aligned with like doing good things is good. It's all good. There doesn't have to be a little line between everything. It's all good. And that's the way I view the world too. It's like, if you do really good things, yeah, it's more than likely going to lead to like better things for you, but that can't be the intention. That can't be like built into it. You got to just do good to do good. And it's just so much fun. And anyone out there can do that. You can find your opportunities to, if you're doing something at work, and you solve a problem, you're not the only one who's going to have that problem. Blog about it, share it, give a lightning demo, give a PowerShell Wednesday talk, whatever you got something to share. We all do, even if you're a super beginner. So Brock, what a pleasure, man. I'm feeling the vibes so heavy because I just love this stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
It's palpable. Awesome. Well, hey everybody, thank you for joining us. If you want to see more of Brock, check out the PDQ webcast every single Thursday. Check out the PDQ blog. Brock has a ton of heavy hitter blogs out there, a lot of PowerShell content. Join the PDQ Discord, discord.gg/PDQ. PowerShell Wednesdays every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. New PowerShell podcast episodes every single Monday for over 3 years, not missing a day. If there's one thing, you got to put your money where your mouth is. 3 years of consistency. You know, we're here for you. Come along. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun together. Let's grow together. And you can see your career unfold in a very positive way if you're able to embrace this stuff and, you know, cross some of those barriers you've ran into. Leave us a 5-star review. You as well, Brock. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. It really does help spread PowerShell to more people. And if you're enjoying what you're getting, you know, I talk to you, maybe talk to me. What's up? Love meeting new people. I'm at Andrew Plotek on all socials. Brock, we're digging the vibes, man. We want to connect with Brock a little bit more. Where can we find Brock on the World Wide Web?
A lot of it is at Brock Bingham or Brock Bingham. I don't know. I'm like I'm trying to take my own advice here. And I've always been in that camp of like, hey, I hate social media, but I'm trying to use it to like help promote myself, you know? So I'm on X. I just started Blue Sky. LinkedIn, it's a very old picture, you know, don't judge, but it's out there. So yeah, you can find me.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's fun. We're all trying. I say to cringe is to grow. And I do a lot of, you know, things that I'm like, wow, I'm posting this right now. Yep. But I mean, it's going to help people. You're going to put yourself out there and eventually maybe I'll stop cringing so much. And I think I've gotten some growth in there. But I mean, I even remember whenever I created socials, I was like, oh, I got to choose a name. What do I do? Andrew Plotek. Now we're here. Got to stick with it. Yeah. So, well, awesome, man. Well, we'll find you there. We'll have links to hopefully everything we mentioned in the show notes. And if you have the PS Podcast module, just show PS Podcast, I believe is the name of the command. Of course, I don't remember it now that we're live, but check out the PS Podcast module by Jeff Hicks. It's pretty slick. Anytime I open up PowerShell, it tells me the recent episode.
So cool.
I mean, it's a little like tapping your own back. It's like, yes, that is. But still, it's cool to see. It uses a PowerShell Spectre console, another one of those pretty projects to add some nice colorization, some boxiness, and a lot of good things. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Brock, for joining me.
Yeah, Brock on.
Brockstar out. And hey, if you want a good game, Brock and I have been geeking out really hard lately on RoboQuest. It's a roguelike first-person shooter, very fun. Played with some other people as well. Shout out to Micah. Shout out to Sir Ginger. It's just a fun game.
Shout out to those developers. I mean,
they're moving on, but
they are. That it's breaking my heart. Literally, like earlier this week, they're like, "Hey, we're moving on to our next project. There's not really going to be any major updates left for the game, other than coming out on like PlayStation and stuff like that." But gosh, man, they really, really crushed it with just this fun, simple idea of a game that is just a blast to play. Especially if you get a buddy online. I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah, you and I, how many hundreds of hours of games have we played in our years working together? Probably, I'm going to guess 2 to 3.
Yeah, I would say that.
200 to 300. And we've lost a lot of Rocket League games. So if you didn't know, Brock is really good at Rocket League. And I'm good, for sure. Not compared to him. So it's very much, I'm just whiffing the ball. I remember when we first met, I was trying so hard to not be bad. And I was like, what the heck? Why is this guy so good? I feel terrible. I'm just flipping and like totally missing. And you're flip resetting, flying through the air.
I wish I could say that I haven't peaked, but I think I've peaked. It's like I'm moving up there in years, and that younger generation is coming in, and they're just so talented, and they just have so much time on their hands that I just, it's like for the longest time, like I saw my progress just go up and up and up, grand champ, and then all of a sudden now it's like coming back down and stuff, and I'm like, oh man,
what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
Hey, but hopefully our careers are going up. So. And I think careers is something that we're going to be doing for a long time. So taking ownership of that and enjoying that journey can be cool as well. And when you can tie your career to actual impact on people, whether that be through community work or whether that be through what your job at work, what IT empowers your company to do, I think it's so helpful to be connected with that impact. Makes it a lot easier to put in those long hours because we're putting a lot of hours in at work throughout our careers. So make it enjoyable. You deserve it. We deserve it. And we're all in this together. Drive safe, walk safe, whatever you're doing, do it safely. Take care. We'll see you next Monday. We'll see you on Wednesday. We'll see you around. Don't be a stranger. We love new friends. Oh, I got a little thing coming up, by the way, Brock. Yeah, for the European friends out there, I will be at PowerShell Conference Europe in Malmo, Sweden next month. So I'm really excited. It'll be my first time at PS Conference EU. Been teasing it for a few years. Pulled some strings. And I'll be there this year. Going to be doing some content with the PS Conference EU team, some podcast episodes, and I want to meet you. If you're a European listener right now, please send me a message. I'm trying to make the rounds and make sure that I don't miss anybody. I think I'm going to get there a little bit early, so I'd love to see the town if anyone else is there early.
And if you're looking for someone to buy you drinks, Andrew Plotek is your guy.
I do like buying people drinks a whole lot. My wallet doesn't love it, but I do. It's all about the people, so... Awesome. Thank you, Brock, for joining me. Thank you, everybody out there for listening, and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the PowerShell Podcast. The PowerShell Podcast is a PDQ production, making device management simple, secure, and pretty damn quick.